In the previous video, we talked about how we can integrate MySQL with a Spring Boot REST API application. In this video, we'll actually talk about the second part of the video of the MySQL extension, which is the changes which we need to do from the Spring Boot side so that we can connect the MySQL database server which we have with our Spring Boot application. So we won't be writing any code for this. The code will stay the same as it was for Apache Derby, and the only thing that changes is some application properties which are used to connect the Spring Boot application with the database, and a few dependencies, one dependency that actually helps connect MySQL to our ToDo object, which is the object relational mapping functionality. So let's get started. The first thing which we need to do is add the dependency which we have. So let's just type it out. And the dependency is going to be having a group ID, of course. So group ID, and the group ID is going to be MySQL because that's the database. And then we have artifact ID, and the artifact ID is MySQL connector Java. Yeah, and just to give it a scope, just to scope runtime. Okay, so this is the dependency which we need to make sure that MySQL knows which class to use to create an object relational mapping from. So this is how you connect MySQL to Java. Okay, so now that we have it, we just need to do a tiny change inside our ToDo Entity class. We just have to tell this class that it is linked to a table in the SQL database, and the name of the table is ToDo, right? So let's just check the name of the table. It is ToDB and ToDo. Yeah. So once we do this, we see that we add the persons table import, and this tells MySQL which class to look at. So it'll scan all the annotations. It'll scan the table annotation, which is linked to the ToDo table inside MySQL. So this ToDo entity is going to be mapped to the table. So yeah, just a quick change, the only change in the code. Okay, so now that we have our dependencies and we have made that single change, let's actually go and let me just delete this, and we'll just create it again. So we need to have a few properties inside our Spring Boot application, and these properties actually decide how we access and what kind of databases that we access. So this is called as you have already seen, application.properties. So let's create that right now. So application.properties, and make sure the spelling is right. Click finish. So this here you can override all the default settings by Spring, and you can have your own custom databases, custom build procedures, all of that. So let's write this to connect to our MySQL server. So since we have the ToDoDB database or schema, so let's connect to that first. So we have spring.data source.url equal to, let me just copy the address to the server, and it's ToDoDB. Great. So the first thing is basically the syntax, right? Whether the syntax is actually correct or not. So I'll have a link in the description where you can see the official syntax for this, what is happening and why. So let's just see this for now. Yeah, no error. And next we need is the username and password. So let's just remove this and this. So we need the password and we need the username. So the username is root, and as I change my password to password, that is what I'll be writing, but obviously there are better ways to write this point. The next thing which we need to do is tell which implementation to use. So since we are using MySQL database and we're using the JPA repository, but we're using only an interface, we need to select which implementation do we want. So there are a lot of implementations for this, but the most commonly used is Hibernate. So we'll be using that. So we just add that piece of property here. So we'll be using the Hibernate MySQL 5 InnoDB dialect, and at a single time the max number of clients that we can have is 10, so that we don't max out on these when you're testing it rigorously. So now that we have the properties set, so here we connect to the ToDo MySQL database. This is how we connect the external database with our Spring Boot application. And once all this is set, all you have to do is just run the server again. So let's go and run the service, the Java application. Yep. Let's wait for this to run. So this is establishing the connection, and so I think we got some errors. Let's see them first. What the errors are: could not create connection. Okay, let's see what caused that issue. So right here, let's go up. ToDo is right. Yep. And Hibernate max full size 10. Now this is looking good as well. Let's see what the error was. So if you go to Spring Tool Suite and see the error, could not create the connection because that cut, I got to know what the problem is. So in our pom.xml, here we need to add the version as well. So it's a version issue here. So let's add the version, which is 8.0.11, and just let go of the errors for now. So if these errors pop up, all you have to do is ignore the warning for now, and let's run the application again. So let me just check the version again. Yeah, let me just check the version again. So I think, yeah, 8.0.11 should work. And let's run as application. And yeah, I think we're good to go. So the database is set up and the URL are also mapped, and we have the server ready. So I have already added nothing here, so let me just add some things. Go to post. Let's add two first, just for the heck of it. Okay, so now that 2 is added, let's do a get and hit send. As you can see, we get 2 back. So this is how, without updating any single piece of code, we're able to actually integrate MySQL with our REST API application. So that was it for this video. In the next video, I'll show you how you can actually use PostgreSQL as well, so that you can know how easy it is to work with multiple databases using Spring Boot. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.